really thrilling experience for me to be here. A lot of chemical reactions in my body just, to deliver my research findings. So I just a little bit introduction here. My research is actually part of a European Horizon 2020 that we are a group of social scientists trying to understand a particular context, in this case coal and carbon intensive regions, and we want to provide empirical understanding how this context could shift towards sustainability. In this case, we use social-ecological tipping points by adopting some of the fundamental theories from the natural science. This is just a slide, and I would assure you quite powerful that trigger where my research started. So starting from the left side, regarding SDG, I tried to picture now we have a really unprecedented challenge, which is climate change and sustainability issues. And this picture from Stockholm Resilience Center really helped me how to really break down what I have in order to really bring a solution to the body of knowledge. And then on the right side, this is, if I may take from the IPCC report, they try to conceptualize, the end goal of what we want in the future for our ecological, and now I want to add from our social system. Just a little bit of verbose slide, a conceptual background that we try to define positive social ecological tipping points from a social scientist. Here I want to cite my supervisor definition that those relatively small additional actions, in this case I will focus on the human nodes, or the policy intervention that at one moment could trigger and accelerate large systemic change. So in my case here, I still on the track to visualize the tipping points, but I will use certain elements here like the agency, human agency capacity, and their sense of direction, which is vision, as well as from the agent's capacity, I would like to see the intervention of the human. So it's a little bit different from the previous speaker. I will bring you to the human world. So this kind of like a background that at the end or in the beginning formulate my objective, and then I try to limit myself to just bring two questions. So the objective is try to better understanding like the interrelationship between visions and the social ecological networks as a signal for tipping points in the social system. And the research question is just to understand to which extent, this dynamic between visions or from the previous session narrative, also within the networks could really, trigger the transformation process in the social system, which is human, as part of the, Sustainable Development Goals. And the second research question is to how to track this kind of like really complex process. So I took Indonesia as a case study because first reason, this country is quite big. When you map out the global world, it's quite an eye-catching figure of this country. In terms of energy and electricity, it still consumes and delivers significant amount of coal. On the other hand, in terms of to tackle these unsustainability issues, this country already pledged to be net zero emission by 2060. So I perceive that this kind of contradictory perception implies we really need a radical change in human system. So just to be a little bit scientific, during the research, I deployed this framework by Weaver in 2006. And basically, this framework tried to guide me, like, to bring a sustainability solution from your perspective. Basically, there are three stages, like from scoping, visioning, and then the experimenting. So during the first stage, which was quite challenging, especially during pandemic situation, I mean, you are social science and go out to observe. However, during pandemic, I cannot do the sightseeing or going out to do my research. And I had to be creative in this, like try to gather a lot of narrative and also information from all of the players within this energy sector, particularly electricity. So I see here webinar observation, because during that time, a lot of webinars. And I feel this strategy is quite useful as initial milestone for me before I conduct the set of strategy of interviews, survey, and FGD to know, who is really play a big role in shaping the transformation of the energy in the context. And also on the third stage, I did gathering all of the different narratives and then translate it into discourse and put it into the position of networks. And you will see how the dynamics that could bring you the perspective of tipping element in social system. This is just a little bit elaboration of previous slide. So what I gained from doing the stakeholder engagement, webinar observation, and also in addition to desk research, I gather narrative as well as quantitative data. But here I will just focus more on the narrative because I want to show you, the main message of this presentation in this occasion. And from the narratives, I utilized a framework, like try to position narrative by the agents. And then, however, by understanding their position, it's not really, it only gives you a current situation, but we haven't understand the sense of direction for the future. So that's why I added Q methodology, if you are not understand, but we can talk more later on. But also I also introduce social-ecological network analysis here, and I will explain me more in the next slides. This is just a nice slides with people that I work with, trying to understand their narratives and translate it to understand this kind of process. So starting from 2020, a lot of interviews, workshops, and also FGD. We also work with policymakers in Indonesia, trying to give a two-way interaction, influencing one another. So these are just the people that I observe. And for this is just an example of how a form of Q methodology trying to code all of the narrative that I already gathered and try to code what kind of narrative or they really adopt in order to perceive the energy transformation. So the result of Q methodology here, I don't know if it's not working, but at least here among the human actors that I observe, at least there are two visions that drive the interaction among them in order to define what kind of energy transformation that they want to define as they want to be, as a positive one, or they do not want to be. Here, the first one, as the majority one, is they believe that tipping points, of course, clean energy should be there, but they still want the government as the leading. The other cluster of the group say that no, in fact, other kind of agents still have their own capacity in order to trigger the change, like private sector and civil society. And then here, I don't know why the slide is a little bit, it's blank, maybe can be used, but here in the poster, unfortunately, somehow it's gone, but the networks, I can't see that there are at least, okay, there you are, thank you very much. So on the left side here, using a narrative positioning, and I position the agents. So basically, we have quite a diverse agent with their own narrative. And in terms of transformation, they have their own position in that. And I just want to pinpoint, particularly for government, I would say they are still in the dilemma, whether still keep the coal or moving towards the clean energy. However, there are still other agents like NGOs or local companies that's already quite brave to really raise their voice. So let's move to the clean energy. And then when I utilize the network theory and deploy centrality in the networks, you can see here two human actors or institution is quite the central of how this energy works in the context. So for the first one, I introduced you, PLN here is the state-owned electricity company, but sometimes can act as a government. The other one is Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. So if you remember the first vision, so it's really obvious how the human actors here really make an interaction one to another based on what vision they want. So because many of them perceive that government is really a key role here. So you can see here the Ministry of Energy and the state-owned electricity company is quite a big role. However, if we look at the position of their narrative, they are still in dilemma. So that's why one of the participants said, we keep trying to make interaction with them, even though currently they still have not replied with, like open way communication. So it's quite interesting. And then I just want to highlight here, I added the element of region as the limit of, how the human can behave, because obviously the ecology is our boundary. And it turns out that the agents, like Ministry of Energy here, doesn't really have a direct control to the, particularly a region here, the Banten Province, that I'm focusing mainly. And then, in fact, there are other agents like civil society and local companies that they really raise their voice that I don't really want coal power plants in the back of my yard, or even geothermal because of the historical failure of geothermal power plants in my back of yard. So if we add the element of region here, it's quite clear that some agents do not really have control of how the transformation could happen in certain contexts. So you can see here how I just want to extend the message from the previous session that how narrative could be really powerful in order to to make a transformation happen towards sustainability. And in fact, I want to promote that networks here, by understanding how networks here in our society, we could know like maybe tipping elements could happen by just switch or just swap the narrative of a certain agents, and they could do your visions. because they have certain capacity that you might not have. So it's quite interesting how I observe, the work of this research. And then just to give you an insight, so actually the transformative do not only have one single particular vision. There are many and complex problems like climate change. We have to use all of mixed method approach, and there are no one single solution for this complex challenge. And if I may add, do not underestimate the weak ties agent like civil society or local companies. And then if I may add another thing is, if you notice from the previous slides that from IPCC report, my research, if I could add a little bit, IPCC report already add a vision, like our end goal, what we want to be. And in fact, some of scientists use vision, what they want to be in their context of research. And I just want to add that no single vision in order to bring us to the end of our goal. So this is my addition for my research. And as a thank you, I just want to head up for my supervisors over there, and also the consortium members that really give me opportunity to explore and contribute in this research area. And last but not least, just to extend the message of one of the speakers during the first day, she said that just give the researchers money to do something. But as social scientists, for me, just give some of your time, so let's see what we can do together to change. Thank you very much.